All right, in business news, as ahead of the July Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which will be the first under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, financial experts have advised the Apex Bank against increasing interest rates as this will worsen the current state of the economy. Professor of Capital Markets at the Nasarawa State University, Professor Uche Uwaleke, says more increase in MPR will affect the asset quality of banks through an increase in non-performing loans as deposit money banks adjust their interest rates. Professor Uwaleke explains that the MPC decision may be influenced by the rising inflation due to the sudden removal of fuel subsidy. Professor of Capital Market wants the MPC to seize the opportunity of its forthcoming meeting to signal readiness to support output growth. And also, the Chief Executive Officer of the Center of Promotion of Private Enterprises, Dr. Muda Yusuf, has commended President Bola Tinubu's administration on economic policy shift that is on the right path, and the current volatility in the foreign exchange markets are challenges inherent in a major policy transition. This was revealed in a statement signed by the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the CPPE, Dr. Muda Yusuf. The CPPE's director, on his part, explained that he added data that the refining products for petroleum products in the coming months will reduce forex demand pressures and of the products, petroleum products. He added that improved investment confidence will boost foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment and other remittances. However, CCP CEO calls on the central bank to come up with sustainable interventions to ensure modernization of the current volatility in the forex market. And also, the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, again, Dr. Muda Yusuf, has decried the low level of compliance with the mandatory insurance provision as provided by the Nigerian Constitution. Dr. Yusuf and other speakers highlighted this fact at a summit in Lagos with theme Building Local Content Synergy between Oil and Gas and the Insurance Sector in Lagos. On his part, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Sunday Thomas, explained that the insurance sector has enormous prospects for growth, advising industry players to take advantage of these opportunities to build an alignment between the growth of the insurance industry and the economy.
The sector has enormous prospects for growth in the light of the huge potentials that exist in the Nigerian economy. Of course, the sector contributes to the growth of the economy through the provision of risk indemnification and transfers. The industry players also deliver value as institutional investors in the economy. But clearly, we can do a lot more so that we can see some alignment between the size of the economy and the size of our insurance industry.
The economy had over decades enjoyed boosts from the oil and gas industry as a catalyst, a major contributor to her GDP. This is, however, not without appreciating the diversification of the economy incepted by the last federal government administration and, of course, sustained by the current administration. This significant milestone was not only limited to exploration and production, but also to the extensive distribution of all other ancillary services, of which insurance should not be sidelined.
I want to assure the audience that the outcome of this conference will go a long way, not only in deepening insurance penetration, but will also enhance local content development, both in the insurance and oil gas sectors. It is also important to state here that we in Oriental News Nigeria are very passionate about gender issues.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has released 4 new regulations that will guard the operations of the Midstream and Downstream Environmental Remediation Fund. General Manager Corporate Communications and Stakeholders of the NMDPRA, Mr. Kinchim Apollo, says the regulations are aimed to address environmental and safety concerns in the midstream and downstream petroleum sector. Mr. Apollo explained that the new regulation will enhance value create an enabling environment and deepen activities in the midstream and downstream sectors for the benefit of Nigerians. General Manager, Corporate Communications and Stakeholders of the NNPR finally advised market operators to adhere strictly to these regulations. African Development Fund, the concessionary lending arm of the African Development Bank Group, has approved a $16 million for the creation of Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank in Liberia. The AFDB said the fund was approved to unleash the business potential of young Liberians. AFDB's group country manager for Liberia said about $16 million have been allocated to finance the strategic initiative. He said the initiative was meant to target youth-led micro, small, and medium enterprises in Liberia, burgeoning agricultural businesses and allied sectors. The YEIB is anticipated to support over 30,000 youth-led businesses during the next 17 years. Liberia presents numerous opportunities for investment, especially in agricultural sector, which engages about 70% of the population. Malaysian shares marked time today ahead of an action-packed week of earnings and central bank meetings that will likely see higher rates in Europe and the United States and possibly the end of the light tightening cycle in both. Activities on inflation data of the Federal Reserves and European Central Bank have softened enough and likely to soften further to justify an end of a tightening cycle. The yuan struggled or slugged, and gave Japan's Nikkei an early 1.1% gain, while MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan was barely changed. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures were little changed. Ahead of a wave of earnings this week, China's Politburo meeting to see more stimulus announced to investors have so far been overwhelmed by Beijing's action.